Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the recent IRA spoilers and also talk about what this announcement means for IRA and kind of what we see going forward. We're going to have some fun discussions, get right into it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-staying supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below as well as the channel membership. A couple housekeeping notes. One, I haven't done a video, at least that many videos in the last week or two. I've just been playing Armories, honestly. Been doing like 2 or 3 Armories a week. We now have 3 stores in the local area that do events, which is super nice. So I've been super busy with that. And just leading up to the Pro Tour, there were so many good creators like doing fun tier lists and meta discussions and stuff like that. And so I didn't feel like I wanted to add to that. I just kind of wanted to enjoy the content. So that's why you haven't seen a whole lot. But we're going to be doing some videos on the spoilers that were released today in the keynote. I'm going to do another video on high C spoilers, a video on some of the product releases, so on and so forth. But today, we're going to have some fun and talk about IRA, the most recent, one of the most recent CC heroes this year. IRA finally came, or this past year actually, came from Worlds when she released in adult form, and now they're going to be coming out with an IRA Armory deck in July, which I am so excited for. I hate that we have to wait 3 months for this, but it is what it is. I think IRA is an awesome Armory deck. I think she, obviously she was the welcome deck. She was what got everybody into the game, when this free game first came out. And I think she is honestly the epitome of an Armory deck. She but is a great example of what a starter hero in Flesh and Blood is to help you learn the game, get better at the game, so on and so forth. It's going to be recently July 11th, $39. They didn't say anything about cards, but in a promo LSS email, I'm going to skip Edge of Autumn here for a second. We got one spoiler that's going to be in the Armory deck, Enact Vengeance. It has combo on it. It's a 6 power, 3 block, 2 cost red. So it's 2 for 6, 3 block. It has combo. It says, if Edge of Autumn or a card with Vengeance in its name was the last attack this combat chain, this gets, when this hits a hero, destroy all cards in their arsenal. So this has a Command and Conquer-like effect if it is comboed. And a couple things. One, I am so happy they're doing like combo for IRA. I think that's so cool. We're starting to get back to like the old school combo where it's not just demonic tutor search your deck like Zen did or anything like that. We're getting to like some of the old school feels good, small synergistic combo lines. And I really love the art on this card. For anyone that's not aware, Edge of Autumn is actually IRA's signature weapon. It's a once per turn once per turn action on the sword, and it, pay 1 resource, swing for 1 with go again. So it's basically like a Kadachi, but you only can run one of them because it's a 2-handed. And this is IRA's signature weapon. IRA's always used Kadachis, right? Because it's just been more efficient. But it looks like, at least, either I don't know if it's just going to be a budget version or if they really are trying to make Edge of Autumn reasons to play Edge of Autumn. It'd be really cool. And it'd be really awesome to see this because now we see stuff with like Enact Vengeance. I was saying in the Purple Discord, with this card, if they just release like, I don't know, go again common at rarity that has the word Vengeance in the name, right? Because it says if a card with Vengeance in its name was last attack this combat chain, so I can assume we're going to get some type of Vengeance go again card. If we get like, let's say a 0 for 3 with go again that says this gets +1 if Edge of Autumn was the last attack this combat chain, so it's a 0 for 4, and then maybe it gets 0 for 5 because of IRA, and then all of a sudden you combo into Enact Vengeance for 6. All of a sudden, you're doing a 3-card 12 with an on-hit at the end, which is exactly what IRA normally does, and it's a really cool combo piece. If we got 2 or 3 playsets of synergistic cards like that, you could make an argument for Edge of Autumn. It depends on the meta. Mask of Momentum is very good in IRA, but I've even been toying around, and a buddy of mine's been toying around with Crown of Providence in the deck and just running a more defensive list and only running Momentum into like heavy aggro matchups like Syndra and Aurora and stuff like that. But into any mid-range or like slower matchup, just run Crown of Providence to get that value. If you start playing these 2 for 6 disruptive attacks like the new card Enact Vengeance and the card in Command and Conquer, Erase Face, Weakest Link, all these 2 for 6s or 1 for 5s, you could start to use Edge of Autumn to its full extent and run a way more mid-range slow game. And you never know. Kadachis might end up just always being the better option, right? Because of the value that it brings with IRA's ability. However, I would love to see Edge of Autumn actually be playable. So all that to say, Another thing the Edge of Autumn does is it opens up our blue base. Anyone who's played Ninja knows, Ninja with the Kodachi specifically, I don't have Kodachis up here, sorry about that. But Kodachis are a 1-cost weapon, one-handed, attacks for 1, costs 1 to play, and as long as you have a card with 0 in your pitch zone, it gets go again. If you don't, it doesn't get go again. So one of the biggest constraints for Kodachi Ninjas has been basically your blues have to be 0 cost, essentially, or most all of them, because if they're not, it's anti-synergistic with your Kodachis, which then hurts what you're trying to do. So Ira's always either played, the combo blues that have synergy with Flick Flack and Looking for Scrap, or that she plays more of a toolboxy blue set with like Lunging Press and Nip at the Heels and Concealed Blade and Rowdy Locals and stuff like that. But it's always been 0 cost. So what this will do if you run Edge of Autumn, because Edge of Autumn doesn't have any stipulation for the go again, it's just automatic, it opens you up to play more blues. Now, the real question is, are those blues still worth it, right? And my current answer after looking through all the blue base, because I've never actually looked at the blue base in the scope of Ira before because I've never needed to, there's not really that many like crazy good blues unless you were going to run a very slow, almost like Guardian-esque, like fatigue style Ira build. We'll kind of go over some of the blues you could run. First one is something like Battlefront Bastion. Some of these blues are going to be like really good and really obvious, and then some of them are going to be like, I don't know about that. But I'm just giving you options out of the ones that I saw, and I looked through every blue in the game that Ira has access to play. Battlefront Bastion be kind of cool. It essentially blocks 3, and it can float 1 on like a dagger, so it's really good into like other ninjas, like one-handed ninjas. It's good into anybody with a one-handed warrior. It could help with. It'd be really good into assassins, the obvious one, right? So this is definitely an option, and it attacks for 5 in a pinch, right? If you have a 2-card hand. The 3 cost is a little bit annoying. You kind of want 2 cost blues, because if you're going to use them as an attack and get that +1 from Ira, you would want to do Edge of Autumn for 1, and then the 2 cost blue with the +1 to get the most value possible. But at any rate, another one's Brutal Assault. As mundane as this looks, and I'm not saying it would be used, it's an option because it's a 3-block blue that attacks for 5 off Ira's ability with Edge of Autumn. So you block with 2 cards. If you draw like a 4 blue hand, and it's just unfortunate, you can pitch your 1 blue for Edge of Autumn for 1, and then Brutal Assault for 5. You just did a 2-card 6 with 2 blues. That's actually above rate, technically, for 2 blues. So you do have some synergy there. Again, not saying it's like a must, but it's better than a 1-power blue that doesn't have text unless you're playing Flick Flag or Looking for Scrap. You have a funny card. Now, this card is interesting to me because it would be good into the High Seas hero specifically. When this attacks a hero, if you have less life and control for your equipment and tokens in them, this gets +3 overpower, and when it hits, create an agility, might, and vigor. So, off Tunic, this would be Edge of Autumn. And that's another thing. Edge of Autumn can be played off Tunic with Go again without even having to pitch it. This would be into a hero in High Seas that has a bunch of tokens out with cogs and gold and all that other stuff, or items or any types of token things. You could use this. This is more of a fun niche one, but it is what it is. We'll get into the better ones here in a second. Like this. Flying Kick is one that could definitely be an option. Now, getting to those 3 links might be a little bit more difficult in some ways because of not having that second Kodachi, but, you can at least on a play where you have a go again 0 cost, you Edge of Autumn for 1, player 0 for 3 that ends up being a 0 for 4 with Ira. Like, let's say you have Cut Through, which would be a really good play. You Edge of Autumn for 1, you Cut Through for 5 if Autumn hit, or no, it would care about daggers, so it'd have to be like a Head Jab. Head Jab for 4, and then you Flying Kick with your 2 floating for 5, right? You just did a 3-card 10 with a blue and a red. That's pretty good value, right? As you can see, these blues aren't that, like, they can be better in some ways, but they're really not that much better. I mean, everyone's always, like, annoyed that you have to use 0 cost blues in Ira, but really, like, every blue I've shown you so far, is it better than, like, getting Looking for Scrap turned on or having synergy with Flick Flack? Yes or no, it's all on you and your opinion. Fiddle's Fighting Spirit be another one. Being able to block with this and gain a life, or attack with it and gain a life if you have less life than your opponent, could be pretty good. Last Ditch Effort also could be ran. This is actually probably one of my favorite blues if we were able to run Edge of Autumn, because you have that in-game ability. I would probably put 2 of these on my list just to have, their last 2 cards in your deck. You can swing, you even off Tunic, you could swing for 1 and then last ditch effort for 9 with go again, technically, right? You could do some cool stuff. So it all depends, especially if you have like if you get really lucky and you have like last ditch effort with like a full hand but no cards left in deck, just what's in your hand. You're able to like Edge of Autumn for 1, last ditch effort for 9, you know, and then swing with your last card or 2. So a way to actually try to close out the game. Then you have other synergy cards depending on what your list looks like Key Unleashed. If you have like a Crouching Tiger list or you're using Pouncing Paws, you could Edge of Autumn for 1, Crack Pouncing Paws, Crouching Tiger for 1, and then you Key Unleashed for 5, right? I mean, it's a 2-card 7 off 2 blues, which is pretty good. Not the end of the world, but it is like a one of you could run this if you're still on Pouncing Paws as a leg piece. So this is an option. Then you have Ripple Away, which is just really good. Being able to discard if an action card would create 1 or more tokens this turn, instead it creates that many -1 of each of those tokens. So if High Seas ends up having action cards that create tokens, or just in general like a lot of the frailty and stuff like that from like Codex, you can get rid of that. You have certain abilities that do certain things. So it all depends. Ripple Away is definitely an option. And it's a 2 for 5 off of Edge of Autumn, which is a 2-card 6 with blues. Torn Tempo could potentially just be a 1 for 3, like threatening go again with a 3-block, a good chain ender, or a good way to like force your opponent to interact with you a little bit more. And then another one that I think is really good is Truce. If you're playing a really slower version of Ira, when this enters an arena, choose an opponent at the beginning of their end phase, destroy this, and you each gain 3 life. When you or a card you control as a target of an attack they control, destroy this and draw a card. So just a way to slow the game down, get more value with Ira. Now, Ira might not be able to convert all of those cards, but it gives you more cards to block with, which then helps your value, so on and so forth. So, me just rattling off a few blues, the whole point of this was, one, to show you some blues that you could run. It all depends on what the Armory deck looks like. We're definitely, throwing darts at a mystical dartboard here, but the really interesting thing is, is it still better than looking for a scrap and Flick Flack synergy? I would say no initially, but we don't know until we see the full list, right? But some people, always complain that Ira has horrible blues, but really her blues don't get a ton better even with Edge of Autumn. But I would love, 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 love to see more synergistic combo pieces like this for Ira. Like, give a different way to play her. Even if Edge of Autumn, you lose a couple points in some stuff, I would just like the player just play it. That could be fun. Also, bonus point on this card, this can be used in Katsu with Retrace the Past. You could do, Descendant Gust Wave into Retrace the Past, name Enact Vengeance, and then play Enact Vengeance. So you do that'd be off of a blue, depending on how your hand looks. Hand structure, it's a 4-card 13 with a CNC-like effect at the end. Not too bad. Really, really funny. I don't know if it'll end up being used, but it is a popper at Ninja that also has an additional effect. So, if you run poppers in Ninja, but you want to have a couple more, this could be something to be very, very useful. But hopefully we see some more spoilers somewhat down the road. I would not expect us to get anything from the list of the Armory deck probably until like mid to end of June, right? They're going to release High Seas and do all that first, and then I'd say towards the end of June, probably like at the end of national season is when you'll see probably some of the card lists for Ira. But at any rate, I'm super excited about this. Let me know what your thoughts are on the blues. I just rattled off a few blues. It wasn't me saying like you will run these blues or like they're the best blues, whatever. It's just different thoughts. Some of them are some of them are actually pretty decent. But then you got to beg the question, is it better than how we currently run them as is? So it all depends. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'd love to hear it. I'll be doing other videos coming out tomorrow. I'll do a wrap-up of the High Seas spoilers specifically. And we'll also talk about some product release stuff in a different video. I'm trying to break it up. If you want to see it all at once, I talked about it on stream today. Go look at my VOD where I kind of went over everything at once. But I'm going to break it up in videos for people who missed the stream and don't want to watch the whole VOD. But yeah, I'll also be doing recaps on the Pro Tour, obviously. So definitely get to check that out. But yeah, thank you all so much. Hopefully you'll have a great rest of your day. Let me know what you want to see down below in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank you all so much.